Good morning. It's Easter 2020. We're going to bring you another little brief video this morning on Easter Sunday, and I trust that everyone's doing well. I was going through a few things this morning, and I ran across one of our last bulletins that we had, our worship folder, and this was just before the times we sprang forward, but it was very interesting that that we had a picture of the highway 231 going up the mountain, or a similar picture to that, and we had chosen for that the topic of this, turning our detours into opportunities, and obviously we've had some detours since then. And I noticed what we put on the top of this. It said, God will never give us problems that cannot be overcome. Instead, He gives us opportunities. We must learn to see these problems for what they really are and use them to better serve one another, our church, and our Lord. So I know a lot of you didn't get to see this worship folder, but here it is. And this morning I wanted to talk about a couple of things, but before we get started, I would encourage you today to click the comment, give this video a thumbs up or a thumbs down. If you don't like it, just give the little thumbs down. But if you will, and I think YouTube has changed their format a little bit. Used to, you had to scroll down through all of the videos that it premiered on there. But I think now it has a little comment section, and where it says comment, if you'll just touch that, it'll bring the keyboard up, and you can type in a comment on that. And I would encourage all of our church people to do this. If you're a member of Journey of Faith Church, or you watch these videos regularly, please give us a little comment, even if it's just to say hi, or I hated the video, or love the video, whatever it is. I would encourage you to do that. And I want to let you know this morning that a couple of things I'm going to preface this little brief message with, that this is not a political statement. I've been accused before of preaching political messages and people not wanting to come because of politics that I preach. But I assure you, I don't preach politics at our church. And what this arose from was I mentioned in a message that abortion, which is really a political hot button issue, I mentioned that abortion is wrong and it's murder and we shouldn't do it. And from this, some folks call this a political message. But I promise you this: if there is anything that the Bible is against and we should take a stand on, it's not a political issue there. But I do want to comment on just a couple of things here. You know, in the last few weeks, our site has been refocused, and we're looking at the world a little differently today, and we're being warned of a lot of things. And you know, people, I spend a lot of time on the internet with people, not just listening to everything, because you can't listen to everyone. There's so many different opinions out there. But some of the people that I trust to watch, and I know what they stand for, there's a lot of people who are giving their opinions on where we are, what's going on right now. And people are getting visions of heaven, and they're telling us that God told me this. And I do believe God speaks to our hearts in order to direct us in a certain direction. But some of these visions that they're getting from God is they're really off base in a lot of different ways, and they don't fit the Bible narrative. We're getting predictions of this is the one world government, and it very well could be, because this is some things that the Bible tells us that's going to happen, but we're hearing that this is setting us up for the one world government, or the monetary system is going to be reset, and we're going to go to a cashless society. And we're seeing that in some places, that people are being refused the opportunity to spend cash, and they're called on to use some sort of a card or their phone. And Publix supermarket now has what they call, I forget what they call it, but it's a no contact purchase system. And so they're not really putting that out there a lot, but we have seen that commercial. We're being told that this is the prelude to getting the mark of the beast. Now let me just stop right here and say, don't worry about taking a mark, because it can't happen until after the rapture, until the Antichrist is here. So I hear people say, well, I won't use my card, or I won't take a card that's issued to me, or I won't take a number. Well, we took a social security number the day we were born, and this is not the mark of the beast. And the number that they give us, if this does come about, is not going to be the mark of the beast. This happens only during the tribulation time. Now we're hearing a lot of lies, a lot of half-truths. We're hearing that all of the hospitals are overrun, and we're hearing that that there's so few doctors available that they just can't handle the influx of these COVID-19 patients. And then on the other hand, we're seeing that hospitals are actually laying people off. Even one in our own community is laying off, furloughing, or whatever you want to call it, 1,500 people, and reducing the number of hours of 2,000 of their personnel. And it makes no sense that if one hospital is so overrun and another one is on the verge of shutting down, why don't you take a few of these people, put them in the other hospital, and treat them there? But we're hearing this even in our own area. Now I want to give you this little phrase that I gave you. I think maybe gave it on the last couple of videos. And it's simply this: a lie that is often repeated, or a lie that's repeated over and over and over, and it's given to us, eventually will become the truth or appear to be the truth. Also, Plato said this. Plato said and this was many years ago, of course, it said, when tyrants first arise, they appear as protectors. So we're seeing a lot of different things going on. Like, for instance, we're seeing what's been called, and this came about in 2010, it's called the Global Vaccine Action Plan. And there's such people as UNICEF, the World Health Organization, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which gave us, if you're familiar with it, the Common Core way of teaching. And this global vaccine plan is being led by none other than Anthony Fauci, the doctor that you see there with Trump. And he's just called for a vaccine to vaccinate the whole world. And of course, for the insiders, for Bill and Melinda Gates, this is going to be a windfall situation for them, because it's going to give great economic and political gain to these people that are in this. Also, we're seeing, and I'm sure you're seeing, if you've turned the TV on, you're going to see this: the one world colon together at home. And you know, we're going to see in the future this one world. And so I think they're getting us used to using this terminology. I want to make you aware of some things that is going to be coming up in our church. And let me add this too. if you've not seen this, from the National Vital Statistics System, there has been a paper issued, a little directive to doctors and hospitals. This came out on March the 24th, and it's called ICD number 9, and it's called the COVID Alert number 2. This came out on April the 24th, and what this does, it is a code system that doctors use, and of course you probably know this if you've ever been to the doctor, that when doctors perform a surgery or an examination, they have a code. They list it for insurance purposes, but this is listed for the National Vital Statistics Institute, and this what they're doing, they're listing what patients died of, and this is available. You can go to the Center for Disease Control and look this up. It's ICD number 9, issued on March 24th, and you read it very carefully. This gives outlines to the doctors on how to determine if this is a COVID-19 death at all. Now keep in mind, we're hearing a lot of lies, a lot of half-truths, and a lie oft repeated becomes truth in the end. But as we get back to church, and I just heard, by the way, that the governor of Texas is thinking about releasing all of his people from their home imprisonment, or whatever we want to call this, and let them get back with their daily lives. And I'm not going to make a statement on that because I'm not in that position to do so. But just remember what I told you just a moment ago. I do want to make mention that when we do get back in church, we've got a lot of things planned. We've got a few little study programs that we're going to be doing, and one of them is going to be personal communion with God. You know, we have communion in our church. We give communion. We don't give it very regularly because it's a very sacred thing, and we want to study on that before we do it, and we're going to be starting this little bit, just a brief Bible study on personal communion with God, and we'll give you the steps of how you can commune with God and how you can be closer to Him, and how you can never lose your faith, but you can turn from your faith and study some of these things together. Also, we're gonna have a little thing that's going to be called Teaching and Training Men and Women of God, and this is going to be from Micah chapter 6, and we're going to be teaching about living for things of eternity and not for the things of this life. That we see in 2 Corinthians, we're commanded to do willfully serving, gladly suffering, and freely giving and doing all things through Christ. And we're also going to look at being a witness against yourself from the book of Joshua. Now this morning I want to give you just a brief little thing here, and it is in Psalm 73, and I ran across this and was reminded of this in my daily Bible reading, and I have my little Bible reading thing here, and I've already read through the New Testament, and I'm working through the Old Testament and the New Testament one more time. I've got this thing filled out some, and during my daily Bible reading, and I'm in right now in June, almost into July, but I ran into this, and I want to give it to you. Now this is a psalm of Asaph, and he is a man that was appointed by David to play the cymbals in the church band, if you would. So we see that in 1 Chronicles 15:19. And here's what Asaph said. Now let me point out to you that Asaph was a man of God. He was a religious person, if we want to use that terminology, but evidently he was raised in church. His mom and daddy taught him well. He was there. He served God. He loved God. But here is something that came to mind to Asa. And let me just read this to you, and I'm going to give you three things over here as we get to it. Psalm 73 and verse 1, I'll read just a few of these verses for you and comment. It says, truly God is good to Israel. And when we see the word Israel there, we can replace that with the church. Now, we're not Israel. Israel is a separate entity. They've been set on the back burner, and God is dealing with the church right now. So we could actually say this, truly God is good to the church, even to such as are of a clean heart. And that word clean heart there means a pure heart, or someone that knows Jesus Christ as their Savior. But as for me, my feet had almost stumbled. Or my feet, as he says, were almost gone. My steps had well nigh slipped. Or he's saying, something happened to me. I almost stumbled. For I was envious at the foolish or the boastful people, these unsaved people that knew not God, but yet they flaunted not knowing God. And this is simply a little message here that he gives us on how the ungodly people prosper in this world. In verse 12, we see, he said, for I was envious after the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked. For there are no pains in their death, but their strength is firm. They are not in trouble as other men, neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore pride serves as a necklace, or it hangs around, this pride hangs around their neck, and they wear it as a badge. Violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They scoff and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak proudly. They set their mouth against the heavens, and their tongue walketh through the earth. Therefore his people return hither, and waters of a full cup are drained by them. And they say, how doth God know? And is there knowledge in the Most High? Behold, these are the ungodly, who are always at ease. They increase in riches. Verse 13, verily I have cleansed my heart in vain. He says, I have kept my heart pure for no good reason. I've cleansed my heart in vain and washed my hands in innocency. For all the day long have I been plagued and chastened every morning. Now this is a saved man talking here. He said, if I say I will speak thus, behold, I would have been untrue to the generation of thy children. When I thought to understand this, it was too painful for me. Now then look at verse 17. This is that aha moment. This is that moment that Asaph says, oh, but look what I have understood. And he says, until. He said, I was in despair because of the wicked people, those of an impure heart. They were out there living it up and having a good time. And here I am in despair, and I'm chastened for any little thing that I do. Then he says, until I went into the sanctuary of God, then understood I their destiny. Now listen to me. Surely thou didst set them in slippery places. And I want us to see the three things that come about the wicked, and they can prosper in this world. But listen, what we do in this world has everything to do with eternity. The wicked, those of an impure heart, those of an unclean heart, those Christians who are saved but backslidden, everything that we do in this life determines our standing in eternity. If you're unsaved in this age, when you die, you are doomed to hell for eternity. If we're saved in this life, we are destined to be with Christ for eternity. And if we're a Christian who is in a backslidden state, we're away from God, we don't worship God, we don't fellowship with God's people, then one day we will be rewarded, or disproportionately rewarded, for these things. And he said, surely didst thou set them in slippery places. These people that are ungodly are about to fall. They're about to come down. And he says, thou cast them down into destruction. Number one, destruction. Destruction comes about to those who know not God. Verse 19, how are they brought into desolation? As in a moment they are utterly consumed with terrors. Now let me tell you something. When you're unsaved and you face destruction, when you face separation from God, then there is total desolation. And you know, you've heard me say it before, that we talk to people and they say, well, I'll just go to hell and I'll be there with my friends. I'll be in company. Let me tell you something, folks. When you're in hell for all eternity, there's going to be no yucking it up with your friends. It is going to be total desolation. And in a moment, they are utterly consumed with terrors. And that's what separation from God is. That is a terror of the greatest degree. Verse 20, as a dream when one awaketh, so, O Lord, when thou awakest, thou shalt despise their image. And what he's telling us here, he said, God, when you do, not when you wake, God never sleeps, God never slumbers, but he's saying when you awake, when you actually then do what you said you would do, you are going to bring them into despair, and they were going to, you shall despise their image. Verse 21, thus my heart was grieved, and I was pricked in my reins. So foolish was I and ignorant. I was as a beast before thee. Nevertheless, I am continually with thee. Thou hast holden me by my right hand. You see, God never lets go of you. God, as the parent that walks and holds the hand of their child to keep them from falling, God is always there with us if we'll just simply reach up and take his hand with our right hand. Thou shalt guide me with thy counsel, and afterward receive me to glory. Whom have I in heaven but thee? Whom have I in heaven but thee? And there is none upon earth that I desire beside thee. And Asaph here is telling God just a little prayer to God. He's saying, there's nothing on this earth. There is not one thing that is going to benefit me on this earth except you and serving you here in this place. And I desire beside thee. My flesh and my heart faileth, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. For lo, they that are far from thee shall perish. Thou hast destroyed all them who are unfaithful to thee. But it is good for me to draw near to God. I have put my trust in the Lord God, that I may declare all his works. I'd encourage you, Christians, those of you who know Christ, that we need to put all of our trust in the Lord, draw near to him, and declare all of his works in our everyday goings to and fro. We can still be a witness for Jesus Christ. I want us as a church, and I want to give you this little challenge once again, and I've said this in our first video of 3 weeks ago, that when we come back together at Journey of Faith Church, I want us to be a new church. I want us to be that church that we come back together with a determination. And this can be a determination in one of two different directions. We can be determined, no, I won't serve God. I have no use for this church or any other church, or maybe just Journey of Faith Church is not the church for me. But I do want to, as a Christian with a determined heart and a dedication for God and a love of my church, I want to come back to Journey of Faith Church. I want to come back and be faithful. I want to come back and serve God in this place with no excuses. And I plan on speaking to everyone in our church, all of our visitors who are not members, and I want to just sit down with each and every one and let us just figure out together what is right for each individual in our church. How do you want to serve, and what type of member do you want to be? Do you want to be as Asaph here and determine that the only thing I need on this earth is Jesus Christ through our church? And we see in verse 17 here that Asaph finally, as he got back into the sanctuary, when he got back in the fellowship with the people, it was made known to him exactly how he should feel about this situation. So until I see you, I bid you Godspeed. I hope you fare well in everything that you do. And once again, we're here for you. If you need us, I want you to call us. Remember one another. Check up on one another. Journey of Faith. Be in contact with our members. Let them know that they're there. And I know some of you are doing that. I hear that you're on the phone and you're checking up and asking, what can I do to help you? And you know, maybe that ought to be our theme song. How can I help you? How can I help you as a member of Journey of Faith Church, where I'm a member also? How can I help you? What can I do for you? So I'll tell you goodbye, and I pray for each of you daily, and I do trust that we all pray for each other as we're anxious to get back together. Heavenly Father, bless us all. We ask, God, that you'll bring us back soon. In Jesus' name, amen.